Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So these Sporcle quizzes seem to be doing quite well on the channel. So let's try a Harry Potter logic puzzle. I myself am a big Harry Potter fan. I'm a big logic fan. Not the rapper, the mental thought process. Anyways, let's jump right in. Ron Weasley. So we have a name and a clue in each box. So the Hogwarts Transfiguration teacher is in D3. So that's going to be McGonagall. One of my favorite characters, actually. Okay, and the character in B5 has only one real eye. I don't think that could be anyone other than Mad-Eye Moody. Ginny is the only female in column A. There are only 4 Weasleys in this quiz, all of whom are in corner squares. Ginny is in A5, I believe. Yeah, okay. Ron, Harry, and Ron's brother, who is 4 years older than him, all share a diagonal. 4 years older, that's Percy. He was a prefect in he was a prefect in the Sorcerer's Stone. So that's 4 years older. This would be Percy. Luna is adjacent to Harry and Ginny. Remus is adjacent to Ron and Harry. So that means if Luna is adjacent to Ginny, she's going to have to go in B4 because there's no more females in column A. And then Remus is adjacent to Ron and Harry. So Harry has to be adjacent to Luna, and Remus is adjacent to Ron and Harry. Ron, Harry, and Ron's brother all share a diagonal. So this is Harry in C3, which means Remus is going to be between Ron and Harry. Column D is an alphabetical order of first names and contains Hermione. Neither Lily's sister or Lily's nephew are in this quiz. No Petunia, no Dudley. Bellatrix is adjacent to Minerva and all the Triwizard champions, but not to Remus. Okay, so we have Bellatrix. Bellatrix can go in D2. She cannot go in D4 because she's alphabetically not after McGonagall. And she cannot go in any of the E's because the name does not start with an S. What about C? C2 or C4, it's looking like. If we put her, she's adjacent to all the Triwizard champions. So we need Cedric, Fleur, and Victor. She can't go in C2 because she's not adjacent to Remus. So C4 is Bellatrix. And we have all 3 of the Triwizard champions who are also adjacent to Bellatrix. So Victor is going to go after McGonagall, I think. It could be 4 or 5, which leaves C5 and B3 for Cedric and Fleur. And then, what does Bellatrix's clue say? The Hogwarts gamekeeper is in column B, adjacent to a female Dursley. So if we have a champion in B3, B1 would be Hagrid. But do we have to have a champion in B3? I think we do because alphabetically after Minerva, it's not Cedric, it's not Fleur, it has to be Victor. Which means we need 2 more spots for champions. So B1 does have to be Hagrid. Adjacent to a female Dursley. So we're looking at C2 or C1 to be a female Dursley. Which, since Petunia's not here, that leaves Marge. Hagrid shares one diagonal with 3 other Hogwarts professors. That's going to have to be this diagonal right here, because there's not enough room the other way. Which means C2 is going to be a professor, so C1 is going to be Marge Dursley. Neville is adjacent to Harry. Okay, so we have a few spots left. We know B3 is taken by a champion. He cannot be C2 because he is not a professor. He's not alphabetically before Minerva. So Neville is in D4. I think that's the only possibility. Let me look over this one more time. Yes, he is. Which means that D5 will have to be Victor Crumb. But does that help me solve C5, B3 yet? It does not. Let's see what the clues are. Harry shares a row with his godfather and his parents' killer. So we've got Sirius and Voldemort. We know B3 is going to be a champion. E3 has to have someone who starts with S, I believe. Column E contains 3 people. So this is going to be Sirius. And A3 is going to be Voldemort. Every male Hogwarts headmaster from the period of the books is in this quiz. So that's going to have to be Severus Snape and Dumbledore from the period of the book. So that makes me think it's not going to be Dippet or Phineas Nigellus Black. We missed Victor's clue here. Cedric is adjacent to Draco, but not to Kingsley, who is in this quiz. Cedric is adjacent to Draco. Okay, so I think that makes C5 Fleur, actually, because Cedric can't go here. We already know all the answers to the adjacent squares, so this is Fleur. How do you spell that? My French is not good. Which means this is Cedric. Cedric is adjacent to Draco. Well, we know Draco can't go in C2, but I think he can go in either A square. If Vernon is in this quiz, then he shares a diagonal with Dumbledore. Okay, I don't know how that helps me yet. Draco shares a row with the human Hogwarts divination teacher. That would be Sybil Trelawney, so I think she can go in E2 or E4. So Draco could go in A2 or A4, and he would still be adjacent to Cedric. Cedric is adjacent to Draco, but not to Kingsley, who's in this quiz. I think Kingsley's what's going to make or break this here. Kingsley can't go in C2 because that needs to be a professor. Kingsley can't go in anything in E because these two need to start with an S, and E1 is a Weasley. Kingsley can't go in A2 or 4 because then he would be adjacent to Cedric. So we have Kingsley and Hermione in D1 and 2. So Hermione is going to have to be first, and then Kingsley. S-L-E-Y, my bad. 2 Dursleys are in this quiz. Vernon is in this quiz, then he shares a diagonal with Dumbledore. Well, we know this is going to be a Weasley. We don't know which Weasley yet. And these two, one of them has to be Snape and one of them has to be Trelawney. I'm thinking Dumbledore could go in C2. Hagrid shares a diagonal with 3 other Hogwarts professors. So this could still be Snape or Trelawney. If this is one of those, this would have to be the other. This is a Weasley. This is Dumbledore. C2 would be Dumbledore. A4 would have to be Vernon. And A2 would have to be Draco. Let me read through all these clues again. Okay, so I do think the Vernon-Dumbledore diagonal is going to have to be the answer here, because we know there's 2 Dursleys in here. It's not Dudley, it's not Petunia. We have Marge. That leaves Vernon. Vernon can't go in C2. And that's the only... A4 and C2 are the only available diagonals. So C2 is going to have to be Dumbledore. Which means A4 is Vernon. Which means, I think we just busted this open here. Cedric is adjacent to Draco. So this is Draco. I feel like we had another clue about Draco. Draco shares a row with the human divination teacher. So this would be Sybil. Only 2 survived the series from this column. Okay, so 2 survived the series. So that would be Trelawney and Percy, which does make this Snape. And this would be... Oh man, it's Fred or George. Which one dies? I know I should know this. I think Fred died. If we get it wrong on the last clue here, one of them got their ear blown off and one of them died. I think Fred died. I'm pretty sure Fred died. It all came down to my 50-50 shaky memory on that. Fred Weasley. That was really fun. I enjoyed that quiz. If you guys would like to see more like this, more Harry Potter, or more logic, please let me know in the comments below. And consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for stopping by.